Hi, my name is Siyu. I'm a PhD student at Welsh School of Architecture. Today I'm presenting to you part of my research about sharing practices in collective buildings. What is collective building? You may hear similar words like collaborative building, co-living, communal, or co-housing. They all contain various levels of sharing in different ways. In this study, the focus is on sharing in terms of building form, spaces, and community facilities. Human has a long history of living together under either economic, political, or social intentions in different parts of the world and during different periods of time. For example, there is Chinese courtyard houses with over 3,000 years history. There is Valencia in 19th century. There are central kitchen houses and collective settlements in 20th century. In 1960s, co-housing concept was developed in Denmark. And now in 21st century, with the sharing economy and the influence of co-housing concept, the much modern building topology developed in cities around the world. Co-living apartments becomes popular because it solves many urban issues. However, how good is it regarding to sustainability? Would it show benefit when talking about reducing building energy demand? The discussion about this area was limited in literature. Therefore, this research aims to explore the impact what shared spaces and facilities in co-living building topology have on occupants' energy-related behavior and unwrap the reasons and concerns behind. The case study I chose is a co-living building located in London. The average floor area per person is 21.6 square meters, which is less than the suggested spaces area for one person in London. However, there are more functional spaces in the middle of each floor in the community. You can see here. And the research design includes desk-based research and field study. I interviewed the architects of this project before went on field study. With the understanding of the design intentions and considerations in mind, I conducted on-site field study for a week in February this year. Observations and communications with residents were taken in different common spaces, and I recruited selected residents for interview by this. When summarized, the occupant's presence, the space using patterns of each common spaces are different due to their function, which also distinct by weekdays and weekends. As for cooking activities, if you live here, you have 3 places that you can choose to cook. So where do people go to choose to cook? Their private kitchen or the common spaces, which means common kitchen. Residents' using patterns of cooking is not only related to the designed cooking spaces, but also closely associated with an individual's preferences. For example, residents like the private kitchens because of its convenience, its privacy, but if they have too much stuff, the space becomes packed and uneasy to use, they will choose a common kitchen. Common kitchen provides good spaces for people to meet up and gather. Many residents find their friends here. They also form shared meal among their groups, which is similar with the core culture in many co-housing groups. People meet up to eat, become closer, and planning more activities together. However, this kind of bottom-up shared meal activity is highly depending on the residents, and this becomes unstable when the residents move in and move out, which is the case here. When looking at where people work, there are multiple spaces to choose from the building. People might choose a place or leave a place for the same reason, and due to the differences of the nature of one's work, they have different preferences or requirements regarding noise level, privacy, access to electricity, and etc. And the multiple spaces in co-living could meet their needs in many cases. Energy adaptive behaviors are usually measured when study humans' impact on building energy. Interviewees are asked about their behavior when temperature change in both private and common spaces, and turned out that they ordered their choices differently in both spaces, as about half of the floor area are common spaces in this case, whereas in normal residential buildings, the percentage of common spaces are limited. This may have impact on total building energy use. To conclude, co-living buildings' unique occupant behavior pattern have the potential to influence building energy consumption, and residents' pattern of using each spaces varies significantly. This does match with the design intention, which providing multiple spaces for people with different preferences. However, the complex user patterns are difficult for architects to predict in each case and simulate in the design stage, which more detailed research are required. The reason of people's energy adaptive behavior varies between private and common spaces include how much controls do they have on settings, do they need to consider other people, how big the rooms are, etc. Proper community promotions and guidance would have great influence, and this seems lacked at the moment in the community. Thank you very much.